All right, welcome everybody. Good morning. Right, I apologize, we are starting a couple minutes after 9. We are still having some panelists that are trying to log in and join us. So we will give them a couple minutes to come on in. We're seeing a lot of attendees come in as well. So good morning, welcome everybody. All right, people are still logging in. It's great to see everybody. If you would like to, I mean, this is a virtual meeting. You are welcome to greet everybody. Please use the chat. So if you want to drop in your name, your company, say good morning. I always like to see people kind of interact in these virtual settings. It's always nice to have that little bit of networking that we can offer. And then, like I said, we are waiting for a couple of our panelists to join us. So we'll give them just another minute or two to log in. With 2 years of practice on these Zoom things, we still have technical difficulties. So nothing ever works perfectly. We've gotten good at it, right? Like we're practiced. We know how to mute. We know how to turn our cameras on and off. Like we got the basics. And every once in a while, we still have like, oh, that's messing me up. That's not working how it did yesterday or the day before. All right. Francesca, I'll look to you if we need to wait another minute or two or if we should get going.
Okay, yeah, I'm checking to see if she's reconnected yet. Just give us like 2 minutes and then we can get going.
Okay. Morning, Al. Good to see you. So again, please do use the chat function. So down in the bottom toolbar of Zoom, there's a chat function. Be sure to change the drop down so all attendees, so when it says to, make sure it says to everyone. So you can all see who all's on the line, get your virtual networking on. It's good to see everybody this morning. Is it still raining where everybody's at? It's raining here. I'm in Central Phoenix now.
Tina's on. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, success. All right, whew. Perfect. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is 9:08 on Tuesday, March 29th, 2022. This is our first quarter, Q1 2022. We're barely making it by the end of the quarter. Our joint DBE task force for ADOT. So my name is Rebecca Morris. I'm the consultant that kind of facilitates the DBE task force. My co-consultant is Cassandra Johnson with CLJ Construction Consulting, and we are your task force facilitators for the day, for the year. So with that, I would like to introduce our ADOT representatives, and then we will kind of get into our program. So if all of my ADOT representatives, all the panelists, if you'd like to turn your cameras on, just to wave hello to everybody. So Matt Mall, Deputy State Engineer with Operations, is joining us. Greg Riston, ECS Manager, and then Tina Sammartinian, and is it Director, Business Development and Engagement? Is that right, Francesca? Help me out with the title if you could.
Administrator.
Administrator. Dang, I knew I didn't have that one quite right. And then Francesca Martin, DBE Supportive Services Program Manager. And like I mentioned, Cassandra Johnson, DBE Task Force Facilitator. All right, so we're going to jump right into it. So I will ask everyone except for Matt to turn your cameras off and go on mute. So Matt, could you start us off and give us an update from the State Engineer's Office?
Sure, Rebecca. On the agenda here, we have updates from the State Engineer's Office, and then we later down in the agenda talk about changes in personnel. That's the update I'm going to give today. This quarter, we were lucky, Greg Byers is our new state engineer. I believe he's spoken at this task force meeting before as the MPD director. He's now the state engineer. Paul Patney is now the MPD director for ADOT. He moved up and took on that role. He's got tons of experience. He's got experience in planning. He worked for YMPO, He's a great fit for that role. We've had three vacancies with district administrators. ADOT has taken the approach of transitioning to a district administrator title instead of a district engineer title, removing the requirement to be a licensed engineer in Arizona to lead a district. The reason being that you're surrounded by great engineers in an ADOT district, and you don't necessarily need to be a PE. So we're trying to be more inclusive and create opportunity. Anthony Brozich was the successful candidate selected to lead the Northwest District. He started roughly 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. He was previously our assistant state construction engineer, supporting our construction administration program. He's been with ADOT, 10 or more years, has a ton of experience, a great leader, it's a good fit for that. We recently selected, and the announcement is going to go out here in 45 minutes or so. Brendan Foley will be the district administrator for the North Central District based out of Flagstaff. Brendan's been with ADOT for many years. He was previously an assistant district engineer in the North Central District. And Mr. Patney left a gaping hole in the Southwest District with his promotion and transition to MPD. So we are currently recruiting for that role as well. So lots of change. Luckily, we have plenty of very capable leaders to move up and have a great bench to select from. That's all I have, Rebecca, for this morning.
Thank you, Matt. I think everyone is attending to hear those personnel updates. If anything, that's one of the things that we heard is there is some change at ADOT. So getting to know the people, the right people, understanding their new roles is kind of the point of this whole thing. So thank you so much, Matt. All right, Greg Riston, ECS manager. Thank you so much for turning your camera on. I give the floor to you for an update from ECS.
Good morning. Is it possible to share screen or no?
Yes, absolutely. Let me get you that permission. Okay, it should be coming your way.
All right, hopefully everybody can see my computer screen. So I'm Greg Riston, the ECS manager. We have a very busy fourth quarter for upcoming projects. On our website, so azdot.gov, and under the business tab is engineering consultants. And then we have our advertisements tab, and this lists our current and upcoming advertisements. This is the area where we post our projects. Just wanted to point out the current advertisements. We currently have one project out on the street, the Jackrabbit Trail TI upgrade DCR and environmental documents. That has been advertised. It does have an SOQ due date of April 7th. RFQ package is available there. And if you are interested in any of these projects, a good place to also look is under our consultant pre-qualification tab. So under consultant pre-qualification, down here towards the bottom, we have the list of pre-qualified firms by name. Those are the firms that are eligible to submit an SOQ. So if you're looking to partner and team up with anybody, you can go through that list. It has contact information, find out if any of those firms are going to be proposing on any of these projects. As far as upcoming projects, we have 6 projects that we're looking to advertise here in the fourth quarter. We don't necessarily state the specific dates just because those dates can fluctuate a little bit, but these are tentative advertisements for the fourth quarter. So as you can see, very busy fourth quarter for us. We have the I-19 Irvington TI. We have the US 180 5-mile Wash Bridge and Little Colorado Bridge, the North-South Corridor Tier 2 DCR and NEPA. We have the new referred to as the Temp Tech contract, so temporary technical engineering personnel for construction administration. We have the I-40 from California State Line to Flagstaff ITS infrastructure, and the SR-30 67th Avenue to SR-202 South Mountain, and SR-30 97th Avenue to 67th Avenue project. The ADOT project managers are listed here, so you feel free to reach out to them. The ECS specialist that is assigned to these is also listed here, and the DBE goal that has been established for those contracts and projects is also listed there. Some of them, we're still working with the PMs to get that information. But feel free to reach out to either the ADOT PMs or feel free to reach out to ECS as far as any upcoming projects, and we can point you in the right direction. Some of these do have some additional project information as it states here. Just email our e2@azdot.gov. We'll get you access to the folder where those documents are housed. One other area that I would like to at least point out, we do have on-call contracts, and we do post statements of interest with these contracts. Hopefully this list will pull up, but these projects are intended only for the prime and sub-consultants that are under those contracts. So if you are a sub or a prime interested in any of those projects, if you're a sub, talk to your prime, let them know you're interested in those projects. If you're not part of that team, you can reach out to the primes that are listed for those contracts and see if you can join their team. There is a process for that, but there is some additional projects listed there. These are more smaller projects, typically less than $500,000. And I think with that, that's all I have.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. All right, Tina, your camera's working. That's great. All right, I'm excited. Perfect. All right, Cedric Johnson, Compliance Manager with CNS. May I have you turn your camera on and give us a CNS update? And then Tina, do you want to turn your camera off? I want to step back into the background.
Actually,
Cedric, good morning.
morning.
Good
I'm
to
with
see you.
ECS, and I think Greg gave a pretty comprehensive update. All I would add is that we're in the pre-qual period right now, and we've collected about 61 applications for primes to pre-qualify to do design work with ADOT, and of those 61, 53 have been approved.
All right, thank you. That was very brief and to the point. I like it.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Cedric. So all of our attendees on the webinar today, if you have any questions for our specific updates, so if you have any specific questions for Matt, for Greg, or for Cedric, if you could please use the Q&A. So there is a Q&A function in Zoom down on my screen, it's the bottom, but every once in a while I hear people using it at the sidebar. So use the Q&A function. We'll make sure to get those questions to the right people. And with that, I would say thank you so much to, again, Matt, Greg, and Cedric for giving us those department updates. And then I invite Tina, Paul Patenay, and Francesca Martin, our panel for the day. Our panel topic for today is getting to know new ADOT leadership. Excuse me. I invite you to turn your cameras on, turn your mics on, and we can get into our topic of the day. Good morning, good morning. All right.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for graciously agreeing to come on as a panel today.
I made it. I made it.
Hey, you know what? Some days the biggest hurdle is just getting to there, right?
I'm going to blame it on the rain. You know, that's all.
Perfect.
It's the rain.
Perfect, perfect. All
I'm
right,
happy to
so
be here.
our panel today, we have Francesca Martin, DBE Supportive Services Program Manager, Paul Patenay, Division Director, Multimodal Planning Division, and Tina Sammartinian, Administrator of Employee and Business Development. So again, thank you so much for kind of joining us. So I would like to have you take a moment to introduce yourselves, give us just a moment of your background and what makes you excited about this new role. Paul, I'm coming to you first.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. Again, my name is Paul Patenay, the current multimodal planning director, and I've been with ADOT for 42 years. Most of my, a lot of my experience is in the highway operations, you know, and during in construction and working with the Southwest District. I was a Southwest District engineer for about 14 years. And so then Their opportunity came up where the position open, as you know, Greg Byers is now our state engineer, as Matt mentioned earlier. And so this position came open and it was an opportunity I felt that, I wanted to take advantage of. And lo and behold, I was fortunate enough to survive the interview and get an offer the position. So, but I'm excited about it because it is a different area for me to really show my leadership skills and help the MPD division grow. It's a little bit different now from focusing on the district. My responsibilities are statewide, and so it's kind of exciting to learn about all the different projects going all over the state of Arizona, and in construction and planning and design. There's a lot of things happening, and I just look forward to being part of that and being part of the executive leadership team.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Tina, same question to you. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what makes you excited about this new role?
Thank you, Rebecca, and hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here, and just a little note, Paul started in kindergarten, right? Just so you guys know, don't age him right now, but he was like 5 when he started to do that. So I'm super excited to be here with sharing the platform with Paul, of course, and Francesca, and thanks, Rebecca, for fantastic work putting all this together. So again, many of you probably have seen my name here and there. I am Tina Samaritanian. I'm the Employee and Business Development Administrator. And I'm going to give you a little bit about my background. I've been at ADOT about 10 years, short of 10 years. I started in April of 2012. And I specifically have been working since then with the DBE program in the Business Engagement and Compliance group, the BECO group. So I'm not really new to the DBE program, and the environment is just the positions and how we, as kind of Paul expressed, as far as his background, I've been around and just maybe different roles and responsibilities within my tenure serving at ADOT. So I've been fortunate to work with many of the areas in the DBE program, from supportive services to federal reporting, performance measures to compliance and so forth. And currently I serve as the ADOT DBE liaison for the Department of Transportation. And what that all means is that I'm responsible for implementing all the aspects of the DBE program to ensure ADOT's eligibility to continue to receive federal funds. I also have some legal background. I worked in the judicial system for about 10 years prior to joining ADOT, which I have to say, it served me pretty well these past few years, working with the program, with the DBE program, dealing with regulations, state statutes, policies, contracts, agreements, it kind of kept me out of trouble. So I'm really fortunate about that. On a personal note, some of you may know, but I'm originally from Romania, specifically from Transylvania. Yes, Dracula is a myth. However, there's some real things about it. So if you want to talk about it, I can give you more details. But I moved here from Romania in 1998. And if I am bilingual, I speak Romanian fluently. So that's a little bit about myself. And what makes me excited about my current role? Well, I'm formally an educated elementary school teacher, which was my first job ever back in Romania. And now I get to do that again. And I really love this. So I get to do that again, and but a little different, and working with adult learning and development initiatives, and that's the employee development in my title. And also developing small women and minority-owned companies to participate in transportation contracts and projects in Arizona, specifically for ADOT and its subrecipients. And that represents the business development in my title. So I kind of wanted to break it down. So maybe that's going to give you a little, a better view of my current title and the responsibilities with it. So last but not least, I serve as the vice chair for the ADOT Committee on Civil Rights. And that's something that is I'm a volunteer there, but it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I strive to be a champion for the DBE program across the country, but also here in Arizona. So I am excited for the opportunity to work with amazing people, my team and everyone here at ADOT, Matt and Paul and Greg and Cedric and everybody else, and continue our success of the DB program, as ADOT is recognized as a model program across the country. So fortunate to be here, and thank you for allowing me to be part of this panel.
Okay, I have a lot of responses on that one. First of all, I want to see, like, did you grow up in a castle? Like, that's just my, complete cartoon vision of Transylvania.
But
Did you grow up in a castle?
I used to live maybe, I don't know, 50 kilometers away from Dracula Castle. So
That's cool.
no, I didn't live in the castle. But.
No, I know. Just like having that nearby, that's kind of cool. The pictures, I'm online a lot, so
Yeah,
the pictures of like the castles are so cool in Europe. So very cool. Thank you for adding that kind of personal, experience as well. And then Francesca, our DBE Supportive Services Manager, can you take a moment, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background and what makes you excited about this role that you're in now?
Yeah, absolutely, Rebecca. Thank you. Now, how does someone follow a cool fun fact like being from Transylvania? I mean, how do I come behind?
You got a lot of fun facts about you too.
But no, I'm Francesca Martin. I've been with ADOT Vico, serving as the DBE Supportive Services Program Manager for a little under 2 years now. 2-year anniversary is coming up. I'm originally from Chicago. It's a little cool town. You may have heard of it. But in my past private sector life, I've had both the pleasure of working closely with minority small businesses, and then eventually transitioning over to Arizona about 13 years ago as a business owner myself. We've had tons of personnel changes within ADOT and in the BICO group. Actually, since the last task force meeting, which was in November, we added Aaliyah Carter. She joined our team as our new DBE Supportive Services Specialist. She supports all of our technical and manages all the communications within the program. And then we also have Amy Barrett as our new Small Business and Workforce Development Officer, and she oversees and supports our OJT, DBE certification, and the Supportive Services Program. So even though we're new, we're growing and developing together, and I'm confident in the new team. I'm excited for the journey to continue providing valuable resources and support to our DBEs.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Next, first official question, right? So now that we kind of had a chance to get to know you just a little bit. First official question to the panel. Talk to us about the current strategies of ADOT and the DBE Supportive Services Department to increase utilization of certified DBE firms. What are you doing to help us? So Francesca, coming to you first on that one.
Okay. Well, from the supportive services side, I'll just say our strategy for helping DBEs will always remain the same, and that's providing valuable training and education to our firms. One example is through the tools and the knowledge that our firms gain from the workshops that we provide in our business development program. Those firms, they actually participate in a 22-week cohort, and it covers business topics and industry training. And with that, they gain all the tools and improve their operations tremendously. And as you all know, with education will result in improved operations, which ultimately will result in firms being more equipped to pursue, receive, and perform well on contract jobs. So as an example, and this is something we're working on internally on how to best track the effectiveness of our supportive services programs and how we are tying those to ADOT participation in projects. But from our alumni tracking survey report, and this is from classes in the 2019 and 2020, we had 27 bids go out from those graduates. 5 were awarded over $3 million in value, and they all bid as subs. And those were on ADOT participating projects. We've also had over 47 bids go out for government agency proposals. 13 of those were awarded, and that was over $1.3 million in value. And then for private project participation, there were 127 bids that went out. 74 were awarded, and that was over $3 million in value. Those same firms were able to add 73 full-time jobs, 13 part-time jobs, temporary jobs, I think rounded out around 10, and then 42 independent contractors were added. They saw sales growth of over $4.6 million. There were 8 loans totaling over $500,000. And then there was 1 bonding opportunity. So we're just looking at, the effectiveness of the training and the topics we're bringing forth, making sure it's all relevant to the needs of our firms. Some new, or I should say future programs and initiatives we're exploring is a What's Next program. So we're looking to see how we continue to help support those firms after they graduate, what kind of mentoring programs we can bring forth so that they're able to strengthen their partnerships around the industry and that they're able to network better with primes and cultivate those relationships more and establishing more of a stronger DBE coalition. So just got a lot of ideas, got a lot of visions, just need to make it work.
But it is measuring the effectiveness. I guess what I took away from that, sometimes facts and figures kind of just wow. But you measure and you track and you try and improve on the things that, make the offers listen to what the certified DBE firms listen, incorporate those needs into the programs, and then really measure and track. So I love that you have like hard data on this is the result. So shout out to Priyanka Miller over in the chat. She says she can speak to that program. Mill Geospatial graduated a few years ago and she highly recommends that to other DBEs. So definitely ask the people that have graduated, that have taken the program. They'll tell you about it. They'll tell you how effective and how useful and important that is. So, okay, Tina, can you add on what Francesca said?
Yes, definitely. I'm going to take a different look at this, and I'm going to share my screen, and bear with me 1 second as I pull it up. Can you see it? Okay, perfect. So while Francesca gave you some qualitative and quantitative data on the supportive services and the input of resources and tools and programs that she is diligently working on providing to the DB community, I'm going on a little further with the output of that, and that is the DBE actual utilization. And I wanted to kind of share with you all, where we have been in the last few years on not only the race and the DBE goal for the agency, but also specifically the DBE participation, the actual participation. So you can see from 2017, we went from an overall DBE goal of 8.9%, 90% to 9.55%. And then as just recently as last year, we the overall goal for DBE, the DBE goal for the agency is 12.89%. So, we not only have, approached the resources and the tools and programs that we put forward to support you, but also making sure that the federal contracting, it's equally giving opportunities for DBEs to participate on those federal projects. So the DBE participation again increased significantly in the last few years. It looks like and then we always look at opportunities to connect, right, the output and the input with the output, and making sure that there are enough opportunities for everyone to engage and participate in those federal contracts. Now, is there opportunity to do more? As Francesca mentioned, yes, we're looking at continuously improving our programs and providing other opportunities and training and support to the firms, we are here to continue all of our efforts to increase the DBE participation in the years to come. So I kind of wanted to put the reports, and I just want to let everyone know that if they want to see this on a regular basis, it's on our website. It's the external website on the ADOT internet page, and it's under the BECO programs. And you can click on DBE goals and reports, and you can see every report and every information in relation to how do we perform when it comes to specific DBE participation on all those projects.
Sure. I will ask maybe Cassandra or somebody else on my team if we could drop that link into the chat.
I could do it.
Tina's on it. Thank you. I was gonna keep asking you questions, so I'm like,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
everybody's
No,
got
go
this
ahead. I
page
can.
Probably bookmarked. So if we
Uh,
could drop that into the chat, then everyone. you're on.
However, multitasking is a myth. So I just, oh, I did it in the wrong chat. So let me do that.
You got it?
Everyone, I got it. Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Clearly, multitasking is a tap. It's a myth. Can't do it.
We all think we can do it.
Okay.
But yeah, it is completely, things start slipping a little
Do you
bit.
want me to still have this up? Do you have questions about this or something else?
Let's go ahead and close that down.
Okay, so I'm trying to
Stop the
figure out
share.
how to do that. So maybe you need to, how do I stop sharing?
So it should pop up in somewhere probably down at the bottom. If you hover right where you hit share screen, you should say stop share, or there should be an option to pause or stop share.
Oh, I see. I think what happened, technical difficulties on my end for sure. I can get the screen to
Okay.
do
I
what I
will
wanted to
share
do.
it.
Can you do that for me, please? Thank you. I
There it is.
apologize.
Yep, I got it.
Perfect,
Hey, I'm glad I got a little button on my end too. So-
perfect.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to bring up kind of two things on this, the current strategies of increasing certified DBE utilization. I'd actually like to bring up kind of the Q&A from the chat, and thank you both, Cynthia and Priyanka, for moving those over to the Q&A. When DBEs see a project, an upcoming project opportunity that doesn't have a DBE goal, can anyone speak to the reason, like why isn't there a DBE goal, especially something that we know that there are certified DBE firms that could participate in that opportunity? Can you guys kind of speak to the ADOT process? Like, why wouldn't there be a goal on every single project? No, I'm just kidding. But can you speak to that a little?
I can take that, Rebecca, and that's a fantastic question. So again, the agency is required to have an annual DBE goal, and I shared with you right now that's 12.89%. However, the regulations also require for when goals are established on project by project basis, that the goal has to be narrowly tailored to specific things, and I'll go into that in just a second, to the project. And there are multiple factors that they are considered when goals for projects are assessed, or how we evaluate that. So we look at the type of project and the type of work. So we specifically look at construction versus professional services, and then the type of work within each category. We also look at the location of the project, and we look at subcontracting opportunities based on those types of work. And then last but not least, we look at DBE availability in relation to those types of work. So it's a very narrowly tailored process to evaluate opportunities for DBE participation, and it's very, very important to ensure that that's the evaluation is done so there is a realistic chance for the DBEs to participate on those type of projects. So just because a project or a contract does not have a DBE goal does not mean that DBEs cannot participate on them. So I kind of want to put that out there as well. But hopefully that breakdown of how we set the goals and what drives maybe a zero goal on a project helped. However, just because a project does not have a goal does not mean that DBE participation from the contractor or the consultant is not possible.
Absolutely. Paul, Francesca, did you want to add anything to that question?
I think I'm good. Thank you. Nothing
Okay.
to add.
I think
Kind of
Tina,
Perfect, thank you. Also a follow-up question that just came in through the Q&A. Are there ever SBE or SBC goals?
I can take that as well. So ADA does not have a small business development program, and there is, how do I say? So the ADOT is responsible to have a DBE program, and in order to have a small business development program, there's more requirements, and it will, there's a expectation from state's legislator on how that would be put together. And so we cannot have we cannot set goals on small business, specifically for small business entities. Now, I know that there's certain local public agencies that have a small business development program, and they establish a small business goals. However, those are local programs, and we're governed by the federal regulations. So we are just pretty much under the DBE program umbrella. We are encouraging small business concerns participation as the regulations outline. However, there's no expectation that a small business development program to be part of the DBE program.
Okay, perfect. So no current SBE, SBC goals through ADOT, but some local agencies may. Yeah, right. Perfect.
Yes, and I am actually pretty sure that City of Phoenix has something similar, but yeah, I'm not.
That would be a City of Phoenix question.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then talk to us about one other thing that kind of consistently comes up from the DBE community, which is unbundling of scopes. So that's definitely something that we hear from the DBE community. They say, you know, we can't go after these big jobs, right? We don't have the resources, we don't have the capacity, but hey, if you chunk it down, we will knock it out of the park for you. So can you talk to us a little bit about ADOT's strategy when it comes to unbundling of scopes through procurement specifically?
I'm not sure. I can talk about that. So this is not new. You were on top of it, Rebecca, when you said that. It's just a I guess reoccurring question, unfortunately, within the discussions that I've been part of in the last 10 years working at ADOT, and I know not only at ADOT but across the country, it's something that is a challenge on how can state organizations, state DOTs, be efficient, right? And working efficiently by planning and programming money to putting contracts out there and projects out there, while at the same time supporting small businesses and specifically also the DB program. But I have to say that these are, again, opportunities that we're continuously working on. And Paul and I, we kind of talked a little bit about it, talked to Greg, and we're continuing the conversation to identify opportunities for us as an organization. Because again, together we can address these bigger challenges, right, and barriers to entry to DBEs and the federal contracting opportunities. We're going to continue that work, and we're going to continue those discussions to making sure that projects, when they are programmed, are going to have some opportunities for smaller chunks that DBEs can equally compete to address them. So I'm not sure if Paul has anything to add on that end, but I'm looking forward to working with him and Greg, and also Greg and Cedric and ECS to identify opportunities for us to move the needle in that area.
No, thank you, Tina. No, we are committed to looking at this and doing what we can. We do have limitations and restrictions, but we realize that some projects, can be unbundled and made smaller ones. But those are things that are on our radar, and we're going to keep pursuing.
Okay. I'm going to follow up on that one. Can you tell us anything about like what makes a project like a good candidate for unbundling? I'm kind of novice, so I don't pursue actual projects for ADOT, but is there anything like, yeah, that's the right type of project that we could look at and say that's a better candidate than others?
And I think that's a great question, Rebecca. I don't know, Paul, if you want to chime into that, but I think that's what we, from not being an engineer, not being a planner, not being a, like the technical aspect of how you assess how that could be efficiently and effectively kind of broken down, right? But from just thinking critically about it, that's in my experience, that's the hard thing, is identifying that that formula, right?
Mhm.
And it's not really A plus B equals C, right? It's a little bit of, there's a lot of components that need to be considered. And I think that's what we haven't figured out, in my opinion. We haven't figured out that approach and what to focus on and how to break it down. But that's just my personal perspective. Paul, I thought you were.
Yeah, I think some of the challenges are, we don't want to keep coming back to the same area. When we do say a section of roadway, it's best for us to take care of all the needs while we're there, because we want to minimize the costs coming back in. And you also want to minimize the disruption to the traveling public, where the same section of road is under construction again. So these are things that we have to get all the leadership together and see how we can start chunking or unbundling some of the projects and find which ones are candidates. And I think some of them, we started doing that on some of our pavement preservation projects, where they're coming out and where we started a life extension type program, where they're not real big, they're not real big projects, but they're small ones just to keep our system in good condition. So.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm going to move on. We're going to touch on a new topic. So the next question or topic for the panel is the constraints of ADOT. So some of the issues, we did hold 2 focus groups, which I hope everyone that's in attendance to today's webinar, I hope you had the chance to either participate live or watch one of the recorded focus groups. We were asking, what are the biggest issues as a certified DBE firm? Talk to us a little bit more about these barriers to entry, barriers to participation. Some of the things brought up were a little outside of ADOT's control. Something that the ADOT can't necessarily influence or make any kind of difference. Help us understand some of the things that ADOT cannot do. So I'm going to give you an example. ADOT dictating how prime firms, so private firms, like a big engineering firm, a big construction firm, why can't ADOT tell that prime contracting or consulting firm how to meet the goals? You stated the DBE goals. Why can't ADOT kind of have more influence and say, no, you need to use, maybe this type of scope or this firm particularly? Why can't ADOT get more involved?
I'll take that, Rebecca. That's a great question, and something I've heard the question before. And what can ADOT do better when it comes to making sure that the primes are focusing on specific things when they're meeting the DBE goal? And that is one area that we have to be neutral to how we get involved in. There's a term out there, book of business, right? So we are responsible for establishing the DBE goal, but we cannot tell a prime contractor how to meet the goal, right? So there's several reasons for it, on top of the legal boundary and that neutrality that we have to maintain, and that is expected as we are a public entity and the firms and you all are for profit, right? So I'm taking this from my background in the judicial system and the neutrality that we were asked to always make sure that we are presenting when we're dealing with any aspect of the legal system, right? So if ADOT tells the prime how to sub their work, well then ADOT will have to tell subs how to sub their work, right? So that will not work, and I think that's where the conflict will come up, right? So we have to, kind of keep that boundary on, we know when we set the goal that it's realistic and goes back to how we assess the goal. And we know the prime can meet the goal because we really have a realistic approach in determining that goal. But we cannot say, you're going to do it here or there. It's up to the prime to meet the goal. And then all of those are actually outlined as far as the expectations of how the goal is met in our contract and our specifications as required by federal regulation. So I'm hoping that that helps, and it kind of sets the stage at how we as an agency have some limitations on how much control we have over how a private entity is running their business.
Sure. And I'm going to kind of state it a different way, but I want to just verify or just kind of confirm that this is kind of in the same realm. Is one thing we do here is that subconsultant or subcontractor X gets all the work. You know, that's the one that everybody always gives it to. Does that kind of fall in the same realm? You know, back to the ADOT. ADOT establishes a goal, it's narrowly tailored, and ADOT does not dictate how private firms meet the goal. Is that kind of in the same realm? Is that kind of in the same topic?
It is on the same topic, and I think it's connected to the example that you gave before, the question related to how much how can we dictate, how can ADOT dictate, or can ADOT dictate what the contractor does when it comes to meeting the goal, and then that's subbing the work, right? And we have no each entity, whether it's a prime contractor or subcontractor or subconsultant, they make the decision who they want to work with, right? So there's something that we are not able to dictate. However, we are consistently encouraging primes to diversify and use other DBEs based on DBE availability. And we have AVU tracks, and we provide resources to prime contractors when they're looking for DBEs. And Francesca has a fantastic tool that they use and submit requests from contractors and consultants when they're seeking DBEs for a specific type of work, and that's distributed to the entire the bid solicitation process, right? So there are some opportunities that we engage in to help contractors or consultants diversify their subcontractors and DBEs by taking them to the available firms that they have that we have available in our database. So again, and that's I'm doing a plug right now for AVU tracks. It's very important that if subconsultants, subcontractors, and DBEs should be registered in AVU tracks, so then they're on the list. And if a contractor is looking for them, they're able to find them and connect with them.
Perfect. I think that must have hit on the what everybody wants to talk about, because I got a bunch of questions coming in through the Q&A. We have a couple more prepared questions. We will try and fall back to those written questions from all the attendees. So thank you so much for contributing. And please do use that Q&A function with Zoom. That's the way that we can kind of log the questions. We can come back to them at the end of the panel discussion, or if not, if we can't get to them or whatnot, we at least know who's asking the question. So whether it's Tina, Francesca, Paul, we can get back to you later. So please do use that Q&A function. I'll kind of plug that as well. So next, I'm gonna stick on this topic of constraints of ADOT. One other thing that came out of the focus group was having ADOT help us train or certify certified DBE firms employees. So that was something brought up in the focus groups, like, hey, ADOT, help us, like we need help, and it's my employees need to get certified and trained. Why can't ADOT help certify or train certified DBE firms employees? Paul, do you want to start with this one?
Sure, I'll give it a stab. I don't think we're set up to actually give the required, certifications. Okay, say for like material testing. I know we when we do our material testing, we provide coaching and mentoring. I know we do that internally, and we do it to some of the the consultants that work for us. And we help the contractors along the way all we can, but we're not set up to certify an individual for testing. That's where if it's ATTTI or ACI, those firms are the legal entity that issues those certifications.
Okay, Tina, did you want to add anything to that?
Not much. I agree with Paul. Again, I just want to emphasize that boundaries that we have to set from of what ADOT can be involved in, and making sure that we keep those legal boundaries in place. Just as an example, again, if we're providing training to a DBE firm, then we would be in return equally responsible to provide training to a contractor's staff, right? So again, if we do one, we have to do the other, and that's why we are taking that sense of, we're providing training to ADOT employees and for consultants that represent ADOT on a project, but do not work on the project, right? So there are these consulting firms that Paul mentioned, and I'm thinking that that's where the confusion comes in, that ADOT does train these consulting firms and staff that are working on behalf of ADOT for a project. So some of the resident engineers are consultants and they represent ADOT and they work for ADOT. They don't work on the project. And we have a responsibility from just the required training that has to occur from an ADOT responsibility to ensure that staff is trained in a specific area, right? Safety and all the other training responsibilities that the employees have to have. However, contractors and the DBEs they hold the responsibility to train their staff.
Sure. And I think that's a really important distinction to make. So when a consultant is working on behalf of ADOT, right? They're an extension of ADOT staff.
Correct.
ADOT staff needs to provide the training.
Yes, we are required to ensure that they hold all the certification and the training in order for them to represent ADOT.
Perfect. Okay, I think that's a really important distinction to make, is that it is the when they're working on behalf of ADOT. So, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Paul has his hand up.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Just on, the certifications and, my experience is, we don't pay for like those consultants who are agents for ADOT, but work, they're employed by a private firm. We don't pay for those certifications. They may get some on the job training, but the actual physical certifications, the company pays for.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm going to move on. I have a new topic, new question. What does ADOT see as the impact of the Federal Transportation Fund increase? Recently, there was a large infusion or approval of funds for federal transportation projects. How will that trickle down? What does ADOT see as the impact? And then kind of a follow-up, how will that trickle down to DBE firms? Tina.
Well, I would like to know the answer to this question as well, just like everybody else. Joke aside, but it's not really a joke. We are anxiously waiting for more guidance and related to the bill, and we're waiting to get that guidance in order for us to get to work. And I know Paul will really say the same thing when it comes to we want to just get to work. However, we are waiting still a lot of information from USDOT and specifically Federal Highway to how to address this. So now, while we're waiting this guidance and the specifics on how to approach this, we will and we are making concerted efforts to make sure that will trickle down to DBEs, of course, and making sure that the way the funds are programmed are going to be supporting ADOT in ensuring that the DB program and the DB utilization and all of the responsibilities that we have, we're going to be maintained, and DBEs are a very important part of that.
So what you're saying is, if Congress approves funds on March 29th, it's not sitting in your bank account by March 30th? So with that.
Well, yeah, maybe March 30th of 2023. I don't know.
Paul, Francesca, do you have anything to add to that?
You bet. Thank you. No, I mean, this is, if you're in the transportation business, or any type of infrastructure business, this is kind of exciting time. Because, this bill that passed is like once, it's being termed as once in a generation type of investment in our infrastructure. And, just in transportation alone, and that's all modes of transportation, they're expecting, across the nation, over $550 billion, and it's just not, we have to think of, this bill also is going to take in water, sewer infrastructure, all these different things that not just ADOT does, but also the local agencies. So all this, there's going to be many grant opportunities for local agencies to apply for, where they can receive federal fundings to do some of the local roads. So it's important that don't solely focus on ADOT, but look at all the other players, local agencies that are out there that'll be applying for these funds. And one thing I came across, and it's not in bill related, but when I was looking at the newsletters, I found one where it talked about, kind of how as a DBE firm, you can use social media, use the client specific marketing to get your name out there. That way people know who you are and what services you can provide, because now is the time to do that with all these federal dollars coming in to Arizona, and all the states, all the states across the nation are going to get some money. But for ADOT specifically, we're looking close to $200 million, additional dollars coming into our program. Okay. And so that'll get distributed to various areas, various types of projects. And so there'll be more opportunities, more work on the streets, so to speak, for everybody. So I think in times like this, everybody can really benefit.
There we go. Sorry about that. Absolutely. Tina, did you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to follow up on Paul's point, which was a fantastic point on, DBEs diversifying, right? And looking at not only at ADOT, but also other modes of transportation, right? Transit and aviation, but also in the private sector. This may impact that, and I'm sorry, not private sector, the subrecipients and some of the local entities that will also get funds, right? So, and also be present. I think Paul mentioned social media and, kind of going up there, but even from our programs, I have to say that that's one of the constant feedback that we get from the prime contractors and consultants is the maybe not as much presence from DBEs at events that we organize and we put together. And that's something that, we have been working really hard, and Francesca's doing a fantastic job doing the outreach, and, sometimes like hard calling folks and say, hey, we want you to participate in these events. We are doing this for you. So this is more of a, ask for, come and participate, come and engage at these events, and be constant. One time you attend, one time, and we understand running a business is not easy. We understand resources, and lack of resources is impacting everybody nowadays. However, it's these programs and these events and these activities that we are working so hard to put together are meant to help you and all the DBEs in the DB community. So while that's hard to negotiate those priorities, are you going to be attending these events or going and doing important things for running your business? We completely understand it, but I wanted to kind of share that because Paul mentioned the presence, and it just reminded me of this important connection that we want to make sure that we build. So engage in these events, come to the events, and network, and basically brand, get your branding out there.
Absolutely. No, that's good advice for everybody. I mean, business development does not stop just because you're busy, right? This is the time you gotta still keep a little bit of a constant presence, even if everybody's very, very busy. So perfect. Thank you. Francesca, did you want to add anything to that question about the federal infrastructure program?
I was just going to say, you know, as the guidance continues to develop, we will definitely keep everyone in the know. So shameless plug. Thank you, Paul, for mentioning the newsletter. So that is one way to stay informed, as well as I just put in the chat the enroll in our DBE supportive services communications, because we send standalone e-blasts all the time if there's any new guidance, new funding, new grant opportunities from federal highway, anything that is relevant to you will be relevant to us. And so we definitely will get that information out timely. So, but you have to enroll in order to receive those communications. So please take advantage of that.
Absolutely. Good segue there. Paul, sorry.
Oh, just like I said, I haven't spent a whole lot of time on the website, but in preparation for the meeting, I did, and for all those contractors out there, there's a lot of good information, a lot of new stuff on projects and things that you're interested in. So highly recommend that you be part of the distribution list.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Well, it's a perfect segue because the last question, or the second to last question I have, is what tools and resources are out there for certified DBE firms? We've probably heard of some of these before, but I kind of wanted to recap and just bring forward, reiterate, what else is out there? What can we do? Francesca, can you talk to us about tools and resources that your department and your program, makes available to DBE firms?
Yeah, absolutely. So starting with where we are today, right? Task force meetings. These are quarterly, and we also provide a hands-on workshop following each one of these meetings. So all the information and tools that you learn in our upcoming task force meetings, we will apply that knowledge in a workshop. And so with this one, obviously, this was a response to some of the concerns and questions that came up in the focus group. But for quarter two, that task force meeting will be on winning tribal contract work, which is very important because we know with the infrastructure bill, that's going to be important to have that information and understand how to work with those tribal entities. Quarter three will include meeting local public agencies, and we're going to have a panel of cities like Scottsdale, Mesa, and Phoenix. And then quarter four, we're going to bring on strategies for time management, which I definitely need, an organization for small business owners. And that'll include a panel of those who do it very well. We're going to get some key championship experts in the whole time management and, organization arena. But it's going to help with all the tools and the demands that you see as running a small business, but how you handle it, with staff and how you figure it out as you go along. So definitely stay engaged and make sure you're here to participate in those. We also have what we call our A to Z step-by-step guidance on how to work with ADOT. That's the business coach on demand. And I will share that in the chat. Give me 1 second here. Just want to make sure everybody has that. So if you have any questions on what it takes to bid work or anything like that with ADOT, definitely take a look at that site. As I mentioned before, with the business development program, that will launch on May 5th. It's our 9th class. We're very excited. And those workshops are held virtually, so you can log in from anywhere if you're on site at a project. Make sure you have someone there representing your firm, but it's a lot of useful resources and tools that we share. And our speakers are subject matter experts in various topics from business to the industry and anything you need in terms of growing your business. Our graduates definitely receive a one-page business plan that they have help with from our consultants. And then we also provide a promotional marketing video, which you can utilize throughout your business. Another resource I would say is our Small Business Resource Center, which has literally become very popular lately. We have actually 2 firms now receiving one-on-one assistance in various business challenges. One was in QuickBooks. Another one was just kind of getting some, step-by-step guidance on how to better market, their firm and what's some ways and tools they can look at in terms of improving their marketing plan, for the future to come. So definitely take advantage of that. And then our newsletter, we distribute that bi-monthly, and that goes out to over 6,000 DBEs, community partners, prime contractors, and consultants. And I say that because I have, I would say, shamelessly nudged a few of my DBE firms to highlight their firms in this newsletter. So if you know there are 6,000 eyeballs, on your firm, that is a great opportunity for you to provide what we call our DBE spotlight. We wanna put you out there and get you as much exposure as you need. And as you know, working on these projects comes with a lot of relationship building. And so people, have to know you, but then they have to get to know you and know you exist. And so that is one way you can spotlight your firm, is by including yourself in our newsletter. And you'll also be able to just keep up with the industry trends and some things to help leverage, the operations of your business. I also put in the solicitations for upcoming work link. That's the same link to enroll in our communications. So once you sign up with that link, you will receive not only solicitations for upcoming work, but you can also select the option to receive the newsletter and any other industry events. And then last but not least, I think what our focus is, not I think, but I know one thing we saw an opportunity in from last year is finding a way to leverage our partnerships and other associations with what we're doing. And so we've taken an approach to just participate in everything all of our neighboring DOTs are doing. Coming up in April 13th, I believe, we're participating in the New Mexico DOT Virtual Opportunity Fair. So that will be a great opportunity for any firms that are looking for information on interstate certification, or if they just have questions related to our supportive services resources that we can offer, or if they're looking to do work with ADOT, that's a great opportunity to talk with us then. We've also strengthened and continue to strengthen our relationship with AGC. Right now, their meetings, our joint co-op meetings, are in person. So we allow 5 DBEs at max to pitch their firms and share and distribute their capability statements. And so the members of the AGCs are prime contractors. So that's a great way to get in front of them and actually gain exposure for your business. And last but not least, obviously, with our City of Phoenix and Sky Harbor and Valley Metro, we partnered and exhibited in their aviation summit in February. And then we also participated in the Comto Networking Forum in December. So we're all working together, partnering together to help our DBE community in various ways. So just stay informed, stay connected, and show up.
Just like everybody on the call is here. So good job. You guys are where you need to be.
Exactly.
Like it. Perfect. Okay, I have one more prepared question, and then there are still 2 questions open in the Q&A that I would like to get to and address. So last question to the panel. So what do you do? Like, let's say, a DBE firm does everything right. They're certified. First of all, certification, not that easy. We jumped through all these hoops. We got our DBE certification. Second of all, getting a subcontractor is not that easy. So we did that. Like, we already did all this work, and then we execute a subcontractor, subconsulting agreement, a project, and we feel we're being treated unfairly. Something went wrong on a project or a contract opportunity. What do we do now? Like, we're being, treated unfairly, like truly treated unfairly. What advice can you give to certified DBE firms who might find themselves in that situation? Tina, do you want to take this one first?
Yes, I will. So we have a formal complaint form, and this is a fantastic question. And we strongly encourage every DBE that feels that treatment for whatever reason, and we ask for that to be sent to us in a complaint form. We're going to share that complaint form link. It's on our website, external website. The form has all of the potential reasons that you may feel that you're treated differently or unfairly treated. It also has an other in case it's not listed there. So please, make sure you submit that. We want to hear from you. We conduct investigations, and those investigations are confidential. So I want to make sure that I also emphasize that. I know historically DBEs have been reluctant to share certain aspects of how they feel or they're treated in the field. And we developed the form. You can see it was like 2019, I believe. We enhanced it actually then. We had one prior. But it's something that it's very important to us to ensure that you are heard and we know what is actually happening in the real world. And those are opportunities for us to get that the boots on the ground type of view of what's going on in the field. So we can, but unfortunately, we have to go with the with the formal process. And I know that's another kind of challenging point. And, a lot of times we get either, kind of conversations in hallways where, you run into a DBE, or sometimes you get a call, or it's kind of hearsay. But in order for us to do anything about it and kind of materialize it and say, yes, this is happening or this happened, it has to follow the process that we have established. And it's, again, highly confidential. And I want to stress that because that is important to me. It's important to the team to ensure that you have confidence that what you tell us, it's strictly confidential. So again, we encourage everyone that feels that they're treated unfairly to reach out to us.
Perfect, thank you. Francesca, Paul, did you want to add anything to that?
I have the link in the chat if anyone wants to check it out.
I think I'm good. I think Tina covered it real well.
Perfect. And that would kind of apply. The other kind of example that got brought up in the focus groups is bid shopping. So that's I would say maybe a recurring kind of point of discussion amongst the DBE community, is that their bids are being shopped. And would your advice, if somebody feels that their bid is being shopped, back to my example, like, got the DBE certification, but you didn't get the job, right? And maybe one of the reasons could have been potential bid shopping. Would the right process or the right remedy again be to go through that formal kind of process, or is there another? It doesn't sound like there's any other avenue. I just want to make sure I clarify and really hit on that one.
Right. It has to go through that process. Again, it's standard a practice that we have, and it's important for us to follow that and be consistent. Specifically about the bid shopping, I have to say that, we have very strong contract language and specifications that are that they were developed with federal requirements and, driven by the federal requirements and with federal guidance and legal guidance. So I want to, emphasize the importance of, the specifications and the contract language that we have out there on projects, specifically address those potential issues in relation to bid shopping, right? However, if someone feels that they have valid evidence that happened, again, the perfect avenue is to follow the complaint form process, and we're happy to hear about that. So, yes, great question.
Thank you. Yeah, that one is very similar to the unbundling of scopes. That's not a new one. That's definitely something that we do here, running in the circles. So with that, I would like to kind of address the two questions that are coming up in the Q&A. So this is kind of your last call for all of our attendees. If you have any questions to the panel, now's your shot. Throw them into the Q&A. And so I want to address those too. So the first one up, the FHA funds required to have a DBE. Is it the FHA dictating the DBE goals, or are those set up by the states? I'm interpreting the question a little bit. So Priyanka, if you wanted to clarify, I'm interpreting the question. Does the FHWA set the goals, or is that the individual states?
I think I get the question, but if Priyanka wants to clarify it, I am happy to wait, or I could just give my
go for it. Answer.
Go for it. Okay. Yeah. So the DBE program and the DBE goal requirements of the program is actually from US DOT, and each modal transportation, FHWA, FTA, and FAA are responsible to ensure that the DBE program is implemented for their modal type of their modal type, right? However, the DBE goal aspect is governed by US DOT, and there's a lot of legal requirements, and ADOT is an agency, being part of the Ninth Circuit Court, is responsible to follow the Ninth Circuit Court guidance and requirements, actually, that if anyone on the Ninth Circuit Court, and that's Arizona, California, Alaska, and all the other states on the Western states, and I can't think of it right now, think of all of them right now, they have to identify that there's disparities in how DBEs and minority and small business companies are having equal opportunities to compete on projects. So ADOT has been engaging in conducting disparity studies since 2012, or since I've been here. I think there was a study prior to that, but and that's what drives our goal setting one requirement, because we're meeting the requirement to have a DBE, a disparity study, and disparities have been identified. Therefore, ADOT must have DBE goals in order for us to meet the DBE requirements and the DBE goals that we established. So this is kind of like a full, probably 1 hour discussion of how and the specifics of how goals are being established and why. But I'm hoping that that answers the question. So ADOT has decided that we wanted to, have a DB program, which means that we are eligible to receiving federal funds. And in order for us to meet the requirements of the DB program, engaged in conducting disparity studies to identify if disparities exist, which they do. Therefore, we have DBE goals on projects, and that's why the DBE, or we have an overall DBE goal, and then we set project goals. So I'm hoping that I answered the question.
Perfect, thank you. I think I'm going to wrap it up and also say the FHWA and the DOT are not the ones setting the goals. That is an ADOT function internal to ADOT.
Right.
Like you mentioned earlier, you narrowly tailor the goal based on the project, based on the availability of DBE, scopes, geography, everything else you said earlier. So I'll make sure to chime that in. Okay, perfect. And then the next question is, can ADOT revisit the DBE goals for the listed upcoming projects? So are those already set in stone by the time they come out and by the time they say 0% DBE goals? Or is there a process? I'm going to add to Cynthia's question. Is there a process for revisiting that?
So that's a fantastic question. So the standard process for evaluating projects for goal is as you kind of reiterated it earlier. And in top of that, there is a expiration date. So each project is submitted to be reviewed prior to being advertised. However, if the project is, so it's submitted for an evaluation of the DB goal. If the project is not advertised within 180 days, and that goal expires and has to be reassessed. But if that project was advertised, that goal cannot be altered. So that's a very strict requirement from Federal Highway US DOT, and we're making sure that that happens. So if the project is not advertised within that 180 days, we are reevaluating the goal. But if it has been, we cannot.
Thank you. Good answer. All right, new question that's come in. I feel like this is almost like the age-old question. So what is the best way to get ADOT experience when your proposal is returned with the comment, not enough ADOT experience? I feel like that's the biggest joke in hiring right now. Like, you need 10 years of experience. How am I going to get experience if nobody hires me to get experience? You know, can anyone speak to that?
Go ahead, Paul. Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. That's a tough question. I'm going to get back to, we touched a little bit on it about diversifying. I think you really need to show and what your strengths are and resources you have as a DBE firm, and how you can benefit the prime, and so, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm thinking, trying to put myself in your shoes. I'm a DBE firm. I'm trying to get this prime contractor who does a lot of ADOT work to hire me, and and you got no experience or limited experience. And so that's where, I think you have to, sell your company, so to speak, on what you can do. And that's where the marketing comes in. I know you can't spend a lot on marketing, but you have to find a way to get your foot in the door, So that's a tough question.
A little bit of a circular kind of question, right? Like, how do I get an ADOT experience if I can't get ADOT experience? Francesca, Tina, did you want to add anything to that?
I'll chime in a little bit, not to repeat what Paul said. It's a tough question. It's something that we deal with in the general recruiting, right? The workforce aspects of it. And I would say that I encourage everyone to continue to be a presence in those events that I mentioned earlier. At these events, a lot of ADOT key personnel and engineers and folks that, program managers, and they participate in these events. So create that, network, so to speak, and make yourself present, and where that, even if, let's say, sometimes if the experience is not in person, but you connect with the people and they see the interest, right, and the energy to participate and engage, to work with ADOT, it could be a tool for success, in my opinion. So while we, again, it's a tough situation, right? We're I'm not sure that there's a perfect answer, but finding those small things that connecting with ADOT in some of those platforms that we put out there, maybe one thing that I would suggest.
Francesca, anything?
I would say ditto. For the sake of time, ditto.
All right. Well, that does conclude our first quarter of 2022, our joint ADOT DBE task force. Thank you so much to our panel. Thank you to everyone who presented before. So Greg, Matt, and Cedric. Thank you to all of our attendees for making the time. This was recorded, so we will convert the recording over. Hopefully in the next day or so, we will get the link to the recording out. The links, the post-event materials will also have all the links. So everything that was dropped in the chat, like all those super helpful resources and links and whatnot, we'll make sure to include those as well. And then we hope to see you back here for the next quarter. Our joint DBE task force will be talking about how to win upcoming tribal work. So thank you all so much. It's good to see you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Rebecca.
Anytime.
Thanks, Rebecca. Bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Thanks,
Great
Paul.
job,
Thanks,
Rebecca.
Tina.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.